Hi, I'm Lovely, and today I'm going to review the second episode of the Magnus Protocol, Making Adjustments. Spoiler warning for the Magnus Archives and the Magnus Protocol so far. Click away if you don't want to see any of that stuff. Anyway, let's get into the review. I think this will be a short and sweet review, because this isn't introducing a whole series, you know? So yeah, simply put, I love this episode, and I think the bar is set pretty high, at least a little high, when it comes to statements now. This was fantastic. The way I interpreted this was about body image and about how far someone would go to make quote-unquote the perfect version of themselves. And I think it was very unnerving to listen to. Immediate red flag going into it was when their camera wasn't on, when they were talking to the therapist. I'm like, okay, maybe because this is the first time talking to this therapist, they're not comfortable yet. Maybe that's what this is. At first, I thought this was going to be a cast member of the because we kind of just jump into this statement, you know. But no, I thought this was going to be about like, oh, somebody else that we haven't been introduced yet. But then it took a little bit, and it's like, oh, this is a statement. We're listening to a statement now. But no, red flag is like, okay, maybe they're not comfortable, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see where this goes. And then Wally keeps going. And it's like, oh, okay. And no, this was awesome. One of the parts about this episode that I was intrigued by was trying to figure out what power this was. And if in this universe, if it is the same powers or if it's modified versions of the powers, you know? And after having a discussion with my friends, because it was like, is this the corruption? Is this the slaughter? After giving it some thought, I believe this belongs to the eye. So there's a few reasons for that. One, it's like, how do I put it? This person is changing their body image because of how everyone is going to be seeing them, you know? They really care about everybody else looking at them, which is that's very much in the category of the eye, but also we have the person doing the tattoo artist, which I believe that is an avatar, right? Is that the correct word? I can't remember. The people who have powers and stuff. Is that an entity or an avatar? I believe it's avatar. But no, we have this avatar who's also doing this, but live streaming it to everybody. So this kind of seems like the eye adapting to the times of technology. Maybe it doesn't have to be that deep, but that's just how I took it. Just in general, I think this is the eye. If we had to choose out of the 14, I believe, powers that there are, and this was pretty good. A couple cute things. I mentioned it before, but the therapist. I like to think of this as a nod to, I believe, Melanie. Was that her name? In the first season? I can't remember. Whoever blinded themselves. They had a therapist at one point. And I remember being like, when listening to it for the first time, I was like, whoa, who's this going to be? Is this a new big bad? It was just a therapist. And I like to think that, yes, it makes sense for the therapist to be in the story, but it's also a cute little nod, I think. But it's like, no, this is just a therapist. But I'm probably going to say that for every therapist I see in this series, because there's probably going to be a few. Another cute thing, they talked about vampires. I loved the vampires in TMA. I thought they were really interesting. And this was just a cute little nod. Again, they're just talking about Dracula, but the fact that they're talking about vampires is awesome. I don't know how much is going to be the same in this universe compared to the other. I don't know if it's the powers, I don't know the entities. I really don't know how this is going to be, but I'm loving it so far. This is very calm and chill, and I'm overall just a big fan of the vibe. Something I wanted to bring up is, like the first episode, because I'm really enjoying the writing right now. I think there's a lot of things that are said that just mean a lot, and I don't know what they mean right now, but I can tell there's a lot of it. The biggest example, I think the only example I'm going to talk about in this episode is the part where I believe Alice, she says to Gwen, time's not real. I think that means something more than just a little joke. I think there's a lot there. And I just wanted to say that. So when something happens, I could be like, I called it. But no, if it didn't mean anything, that's really random because it's said right at the end of a scene and they move on. I feel like that kind of stresses it, does it not? Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Another thing I really like, or maybe not like, I do like it, but I'm intrigued by Sam's connection to the Magnus Institute. Assuming he has a connection. Right now, he's kind of just intrigued. It's, what is it, the second statement he heard. It's like, okay, what's the Magnus Institute? I'm intrigued by this. So he's looking it up on his own time. And yeah, I'm excited because this pacing is really nice. We're just getting familiar with everybody, but things are going on in the background already. The computers are turning on by themselves. We have the CCTV footage, which I believe is how we were watching one of the scenes. A question I wanted to ask: is there a Jonah Magnus in this universe? The first series, the Magnus Archives. It's called the Magnus Archives, and it's such a perfect title, especially with the whole plot of that series and just the twist in that series that comes near the end. What is Jonah up to? Or what is Jonah up to? I don't know. It's called the what is it? What did I just call it? No, it's called the Magnus Protocol. I almost called it the Jonah Protocol. That sounds silly. No, but I think the title of the series is very deliberate. I think it's very interesting, and I can't wait to see more. But yeah, for the most part, that is my review for this episode. What a very good statement. Again, the bar is high. I hope each statement is of this quality. Of course, they won't be, because how could it? It's tough with anthology stuff. Oh, oh, I just remembered. So, right now, this could be because maybe I didn't pay enough attention, I didn't notice things, but I don't know when this takes place. I don't know when this takes place, but specifically, I don't know when the statement takes place. And I wonder if that's a deliberate choice to show that maybe that won't be as relevant of a factor in this series compared to the Magnus Archives. For each statement, for the most part, we would get a year, we would get a date, and there was a whole timeline to follow. And I think there'll be that. I think that's still going to be there to an extent. But I could be wrong, but I don't think we have any date at all for the video footage we got here. Am I wrong? Yeah, maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe episode 3 they'll have like a whole date. Maybe it'll be a whole maybe it'll go back to we just didn't get to a point yet. But it just makes me think that that won't be as relevant of a thing. I feel like this series will be very different from the Magnus Archives, and I'm really excited to see that. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much. Maybe it's not that deep, but that's just what my thought is at the moment. But yeah, I think those are all my thoughts at the moment, or at least most of them on this episode. I'm excited to see what comes next. I'm Lovely. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.